What's good, y'all? It's your man Nirvana Nash from Overdope Productions, ODP, and this is Rap Shit Magazine. Tap in. Nirvana Nash, Shyt. I came up with that name because I was in college. I didn't know nothing about rock and roll music, and I started watching this show called Nashville. It's a long story. But after I started watching that show, I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, and I really got hip to Nirvana, the band, and they were like the group that took me from just like wanting to learn to actually learning how to play the guitar for real, because I wanted to learn how to play all their songs. And that just led into a whole new style of music for me, because I was doing a lot of real rap, just straight up bar type stuff at that point. And then I got into this more melodic phase, I guess to say. And then I was just like, time to rebrand, go with the whole thing. And I was thinking for a long time, like, what can I do? It was just that Nirvana Nash played on each other pretty well, so I said, fuck it. Nirvana Nash, we rolling with that. It was gonna be Curtis Cobain at one point, and I was like, maybe not that one. I didn't at first. I was like a real big proponent of never using auto-tune, and you know, if you listen to my music now, you would be like, really? But yeah, I was like totally against auto-tune, totally against like singing on the tracks. Like I fucked with Drake heavy, but I was just like not really into the singing on the tracks thing. But when I started making this sound, I was just like, it's different, and people was listening to it more. And I was putting it out, and people was like liking it. So I was just like, shit, I like it more. I listen to it more. So it was really just one of those instinctual things where I'm like, organically, it just shifted to saying, you need to just focus your time on this avenue and stop focusing on trying to be the best rapper alive. Focus on making the best music you can while you're here. And that's really what it was for me. First one, Cobain the mixtape, is literally just about Nirvana the band span. So it's a 3-segment mixtape where it was our album, where it's just about the first CD that they had was Bleach, where it was like young, dumb, but happy to be in the game. Then the second part was Nevermind, their CD Nevermind, which was like their big break and what made them the Nirvana people know. And then the last part is In Utero, which is basically them trying to go back to the basics of where they started from and making real grunge music again, which was totally different from Nevermind. So I tried to make that CD like that just to give a different range of my versatility, because I knew I wanted to show people I could do a wide range of shit, but if it didn't have some type of concept to it, it was just like you just put a bunch of different songs on a mixtape. And that, some people still looked at it like that because the execution wasn't the greatest, honestly. But Teen Spirit, that's why I wanted to get into that one and really have a project that was like, it represents coming of age in general, and that's how I felt when I was making that project. So I really took it back to like being in high school and going through the trials and tribulations that we all go through, especially in your last year of high school, where it's like you really go from being 16, 17-year-old kid to being a 17, 18-year-old adult male. And as we all know, that's a total difference in just a 1-year change, and a lot of learning and a lot of growth that you got to go through. So that's what that CD was more geared towards. Next one should be Live in Seattle, which it's about me doing a show. It's about me doing a festival, specifically later in the future when I get to a point where I'm bigger and I go to the festival, I get lost in the festival, do some drugs, have some fun, and then realize like I was pissed off to begin with, and now I'm like, man, you here to change these people's lives. You're here to work. You're here to make something happen. So you need to apologize to the people that you can, your manager, the people that you're yelling at, and then just go out there and do your thing. And then lastly, we got 27 Club, which is pretty self-explanatory. I wanted to name each one of those songs after a different person in the 27 Club, but they wouldn't allow me to. So, obviously, like On the Road, that was called Kurt Cobain to begin with. Janis Joplin was called, what is that? Trials and Tribulations, or Vices and Verses. That's called Janis Joplin to me, because I wanted that CD to just be a culmination of those different people and putting in their energy into these songs that represent myself as well. In the 27 Club, there's just a list of people like Kurt Cobain who died at the age of 27. I put that CD out when I was 27, so it just kind of went hand in hand at that point. And then Teen Spirit 2 on the way, so. So Overdope Productions was started in 2011, 2012, my senior year of high school, which goes back to the whole Teen Spirit thing, to be honest with you. It was with me and my man C. Anybody who watches the podcast, you've seen C on there plenty of times. Me and him started Overdope Productions between us. And then we added Reddit and Ray, who people know now as Feature Lee and Say Ray. That was the core of the group, and then we had an engineer, and he kind of just did everything for us. It got to a point where we allowed him to get a little bit too involved, and it felt like to me he was trying to take over. So I just said, we're gonna do it ourselves. I kind of stopped going to school for business and went to school for audio engineering at that point, and I learned how to record, but it still took me a while to really get there. Our original vision was, I was the CEO, C was the CFO, and Feature Lee and Say Ray were gonna be in different positions, but also be artists. We all wanted to be artists, but we wanted to actually have this to be not just the core of the music, but actually learn how to run a business at the same time. But it's hard, it's hard for people to be on that same page all the time. And for, honestly, sometimes when you're doing the music has to be the number one thing that you focused on. And focusing on merchandising and branding and stuff like that can be a hiccup certain times, especially for young artists who haven't found themselves at all. I didn't either. So it was just like me. It was kind of like the blind leading the blind at a certain extent, you know what I mean? And I found myself over my head a lot of times where I was just like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but it would lead to opportunities for us as well. And those opportunities grew and grew and grew and grew. And my thing was, I wanted us to be like a conglomerate. And I still look at us that way. I still look at the original vision as the vision now. I want to own radio stations, TV stations, and obviously the podcast network and YouTube. I want to do it all. I want to have an open space for artists just to be themselves. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can get to the point where we can offer some distribution. Not even just to artists, but maybe even YouTube creators or any type of content creator, to be honest with you. And the way that the industry has moved is made it more it's made it easier for you to actually get into those lanes without having like radio. That's a whole different ball game. But podcast is right there next to it now, and anybody can get into that lane. So it's playing the field, learning the game, and also taking advantage of what we can. But mainly, man, I look at it the same way. I want to create a conglomerate in a place where artists and creators can come together, and TV show writers, all of that stuff can come together and actually just focus on creating, not worrying about, the mundane BS that goes into the merchandising and the marketing and stuff like that. That stuff should be handled by other people, with you still making, at least 70-80% off of whatever your brand is. Really, the only money that should come back should be the money that goes back into promoting you and doing stuff like that. Because me being an artist, I want to create that space where it's just that money is my money as well. And I want to get that back. And it seems like you can only do it being independent, but we need people to grow as well. So it's never independent, technically. You got to have a team. So. Well, the project itself was really just like me wanting to make music, but being lost in this album that I'm working on, because I don't want to rush it. I don't want to move too quickly and then mess up on the parts, but I wanted to put some music out. And I had these freestyles that I was just doing, just like kind of as like an exercise. So I'm just like going into the studio, picking a beat, and I'm just rapping over it. And then I accumulated so many of them, and people was listening to them. They was like, "Look, I like these tracks. You need to figure out a way to put them out." So me being me, I figured out a concept. I'm like, "Hey, Lil Wayne, this is some shit that Lil Wayne would have did. Took all these great beats that's out here." So I just looked at it as a chance for me to kind of pay homage and put myself in a lane where it's like, all right, well, if you're gonna call it that, then you need to go hard on it as well, because you can't just be like Shout Out Lil Wayne and then put a bunch of bullshit and prissy ass, melodic tracks on the CD, and like that's not a shout out to Lil Wayne. So I really dug back into my bar heavy bag to try to bring out that older side of me, and didn't realize how much of it I had still been using for so long. So that kind of was a shock to see how many people did gravitate to it, because my last two albums didn't do the greatest. So I was more or less like, I've been real skeptical and insecure about certain shit. So I just been trying to figure out a way to get back to the people and actually see that I'm making music and I'm trying my hardest to put the music out for them. I just don't want it to be like the last two albums, where people might not have understood or appreciated the things I was doing because I didn't do the greatest at marketing it, or even letting people around me be involved in it to begin with. So yeah, even this Shout Out Lil Wayne, it's like I allowed the people around me to be more involved in what I was doing. I even asked you at one point, about the first track that I put out, even though that one didn't even make the CD cut, but that was still a baseboard for me to kind of move forward at that point. So yeah. Time is the biggest thing for me, because I need space to not be creating any music for a while. And I find that I do tracks in groups. So it takes me to have a couple of days off or some time off. I get up early in the morning and I'll just focus on making beats. And I try to get as many, kind of crafted beats as I can together. And then I go through those beats later in the day and I listen to the ones that I think I may be able to create a good song off of. And then I load those up in the Pro Tools and I just really start going. Whatever comes from that is gonna come from it. I don't try to force anything. It's times where I make beats that I think are some of my best beats ever, and I can't make a track off them, even if I try. And then there's other tracks that I'm like, I don't know about this one. And then once I get into the actual recording process, I find different things that help me take the beat to a whole nother level, basically. For me, my beats aren't really like these banger style, heavy 808, lots of action, lots of automation type of things. They are very clean, get to the point type of beats that cater to the sounds that I want to create. So my voice and the beat are more of intertwined with each other than it being like people is just listening to the beat going, yeah, this knocks. I want people to like the beat. I want people to love the beat for sure, but I want people to hear the beat and hear my voice on that, and then that's what creates the rhythm more than anything. So it's really more or less, I like using my voice as another instrument technically on the beat. I know people say stuff like that all the time, but I follow a lot of my guitar riffs that I play. I follow a lot of the piano solos type stuff that I play because obviously it was something in my brain that saw something in that pattern to create, and then now my voice is following that same pattern to go with it. So a lot of times it's just time, man. I gotta sit around and I gotta really try different things. You know, for most projects that I do, I probably record 50, 60, 70 songs before I put out that project. Because, and of course, not all of them are done, but I have to hear a variety of sounds so I can put the ones that sound more sonically pleasing together, and then get rid of ones that may sound too similar to each other and replace those with what's missing. So it takes a long time for me just to track list something out, because I can find I love a song and then I track list things and then I find that song doesn't work within the track list anywhere. So I love the song, but it's not gonna work anywhere inside of this, a sequence of songs. So I literally have to take that song off and add a song that will fit into that sequence. And a lot of times, those are some of my best songs to begin with that go on the CD, which makes sense because they the newer of most of the tracks. And that's why I think it's also time, because I'm getting better regularly still. Like, it's not like a plateau type thing. It's like I'm still getting better, and I can see myself learning more and using my voice better and using my production skills better and engineering. And that's the biggest problem too, is time. It's gonna take time to learn how to do that stuff. It's gonna take time to learn how you can cater to yourself, because one, I've only been doing it for about 6 years, and there's a lot of people out there in the world who've been doing it 20, 30 plus years, mixing other people who know exactly which frequencies they need to pull out, who know exactly which 808s that they should use behind what kicks, or vice versa. And for me, it's just learning how those things apply to my music and how to make it work for me. But it takes time for you to really put those pieces together, because you may get an advanced piece over here, a little piece of knowledge over here, and you trying to jam those together, but it's a whole section in between that you still got to fill in so that you can use it efficiently. So yeah, with all of it, it's just time for me, to be honest with you. That's it. Like, the pros and the cons, technically. People around you who want to work. None of this happens with me, obviously. And when I did things more by myself, it not only caused issues, but it made it hard for people to want to be involved as much as they possibly could. Whereas me just kind of humbling myself and understanding you can't do everything, and you need these people to not just be here to help you, but you need them to want to help. You need them to want to take hold of it and be authoritative in it and say, this is mine, this is ours, we're creating this place for people. So that's the biggest thing, is just having folks around you and having the ability to say, I can't do everything, I need y'all, because we need the people to show up. You can't go up there on stage and want to go up on stage if it's 10 people in the crowd. It's hard to get people amped up to do stuff like that. So the only way you can is for you to be a little bit more open and understanding and saying, like, damn, if I don't delegate better, or if these people aren't involved, my team isn't involved the way that they feel that they should, we're not going to get the best out of this event. And I think that's why the 2 season openers, especially the first one, and to get to that part, why I liked the first one a little bit more was because I could see the difference not only in how I was moving and how I felt about it, but the energy just in the room in general, and how people felt even just coming up and talking to me and saying like, man, from when y'all started doing this a couple of years ago to where it is now is a whole different spectrum, you know, and people enjoyed seeing that growth because they put their money into our hands, into our pockets to do that, to grow, to become better on a regular basis. So if we not, then low key, we doing them a dissatisfaction in the long run. And having people around you who understand that and want to do better for the people who coming in and want to keep coming up with new ideas, like Jabril with the mystery box idea. You know, that was amazing. We did a whole little promotional run around that thing. So I didn't think it. I didn't. That's not something that would even cross my mind because I'd be so wrapped in the artist and getting them ready and stuff like that. And that's where I think I do better at it, just talking with the artists, getting the artists who want to do the shows and getting them locked in with the DJ and stuff like that. Where it's like everything else, I can't do it all. Can't make it happen by yourself. So I love the first one. I love the second one. I wish that. Obviously, we had a heating problem in that thing, so, but it was still a lot of people who showed up. More people showed up to the second one than the first one, as you said, but it was, I don't care about how many people show up. I'm just more about the vibes and what's going on. And if people are showing up and in that quantity, then we're doing something the right way. And we just got to keep on learning how to be better and involving those people who come out into the crowd, even into the show, so that they can help us grow the show even more at that point. Yeah, after I finish, and I'm gonna let y'all in on a little bit, after I finish up Teen Spirit 2, I want to work on another mixtape that's based around just like alternative music in general. Then I want to focus on making, you know, because the Drake CD coming out, I want to focus on making some pop music to be real. So my next two CDs after Teen Spirit 2 may not even be rap CDs at that point, to be honest with you. So I definitely want to step out of that quote unquote hip hop boundary and really start just trying new stuff and using the acoustic abilities to its fullest potential and not just trying to use the more pop sounding stuff. I do want to have just an alternative, more grunge or whatever you want to call it, 2000s pop rock type stuff. But then I do want to actually go into a just straight techno, EDM, whatever you want to call it, type vibe, where it's just some pop songs, like some damn Chainsmokers type shit, to be real with you. Man, you know, I say it a lot, and you know, it's a tribute to Kid Cudi, but I really want people to understand that they not alone. And the feelings that they feel are not just genuine and real, but it's other people who feel literally the exact same way that they feel every single day, with the emotions and the angst, even the happiness and the joy and all of that. It's hard sometimes, especially, and I don't want to get too deep into that part, but as young black men, for us to express ourselves and for people to take us seriously. And a lot of times it's due to just the society that we've been put in and how things kind of trickle down. A lot of the stereotypes that are put on us aren't even stereotypes that we created for ourselves to begin with. So I just kind of want to break that away and give a lot of us, especially the youth, the chance to see like it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel like you're not where you at right now. It's okay for you to think like you should be doing more, or you doing too much sometimes. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to have issues with your friends. It's okay to apologize to them. It's okay to not apologize to them. It's a wide variety of different emotions that we aren't giving people a chance to really deal with. And I think that that's my main thing. And I want to be one of the greatest artists who ever lived. I want to have people see my music and see my name, and it's synonymous with, the greats. It's synonymous with Jay-Z, with Bob Marley, with, Kurt Cobain, all these great different artists. I want my name to be right there next to them, and my sales to be right there next to them, and my legacy to be right there next to theirs. But if not, that's fine. That's a secondary thing. My main thing is just allowing at least the people around me to feel safe and secure, and to know that I got their back, and to know that anybody who does listen to my music or does follow us or does come to the podcast or watches the podcast or anything, that I appreciate you, and there's nothing more for me that you can do other than to keep on sharing, keep on liking, and keep on seeing, and hopefully passing that knowledge on to people who can utilize it and grow as we grow. And I just want them on that trip with us as we break through our barriers personally, business-wise, or anything in between. I want y'all to be doing the same thing and breaking down those emotional barriers, and breaking down those business walls, and climbing that and breaking through the glass ceiling for anybody. Because of course I said about black men, but black women, people of color in general. I'm half white, so I know a bunch of young white kids who have a lot of angst growing up in the same neighborhoods that I grew up in. It's okay. It's okay for you to feel that way, and we here together, and we gonna keep moving. This has been your man Nirvana Nash, this Rap Shit magazine. Make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all follow me, nirvananash.odp on Instagram, Nirvana Nash on Facebook, Overdope Productions is at RealODP on Instagram, and just Overdope Productions on Facebook, Overdope Productions on YouTube. Go hit that subscribe and notification bell so y'all can stay in tune with all the new podcasts that drop, videos, and other content. Make sure that y'all follow ODP Nasty, Titty Boy Nate, Prestige, all of my people. If we find a way, we'll get those down there somewhere. If not, then hit me up and I'll forward the shit to you, man. But this has been Rap Shit Magazine. Appreciate it. I stay easy.